Alright, class, break out your textbooks and pay attention because today's lesson is on moshing. Friendly, violent, brutal, and very misunderstood war dance and mating call of fans of extreme music. Metalheads, punks, rockers, hardcore fans, and methed out rednecks are some of the main groups of music fans who express their love for art by violently slamming into each other. To an outsider, a mosh pit just seems like a crazy, violent riot of mindless idiots attacking each other like they were shopping for toilet paper in 2020. But look past the whirlwind of sweaty hair and flying elbows, and you'll find that the mosh pit is a gloriously brutal, fun, soul-releasing, energizing, and painful tradition that's as fun as it is exhausting. Moshing started back in the year 1980 when someone at a Ramones concert was on speed and lost their car keys. As they ran around the venue frantically looking for them, the other intoxicated punks thought he was doing some cool tribal war dance and joined in. And bam, now we have moshing. I completely made all of that up. That's not true at all. I don't know how moshing started, but let's break down what a mosh pit actually is. It's a bunch of people running into each other. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. No, a mosh pit takes place in the middle of the audience, fans spread out, leaving a circular area known as the pit. Now, what type of pit experience you get depends on what genre the band is you're seeing. Most of the time, people jog and run in a counterclockwise circle while slamming, bumping, and shoving each other like primates. Something a lot of people don't understand is that the goal of the mosh pit isn't to intentionally hurt any unwilling people, but it's like playing American football. You don't want someone to get fucked up, but people end up getting fucked up, and that's on you if you decide to step in. That type of mosh pit is mostly found at metal and punk shows. If you're at a hardcore show, seeing someone like Terror or Code Orange, you're more likely to get a lot more spinning kicks, flying limbs, and bloody faces. Not all mosh pits are the same, and often the intensity of one depends on the band and their fan base. A mosh pit at a power metal show isn't anything like what a mosh pit at a Slayer show was. Any Slayer survivors out there know what I'm talking about. Thrash, punk, and hardcore tend to have the wildest, craziest pits. That said, any mosh pit at any band is usually a chaotic place. The mosh pit does not discriminate against anyone who steps into it, no matter their race, beliefs, or size.
Here you are all equally worthless.
Everyone who steps in accepts equal risk of getting hurt. That's not saying that you will or that you should get hurt, but I mean, hey, it's a bunch of people running into each other. What do you expect? At the same time, though, no one should be singling you out and being overly aggressive to you personally. And dickheads in a mosh pit who are clearly trying to cause problems are usually dealt with pretty quickly by the rest of the crowd. Plenty of times I've seen some asshole in the pit swinging at people or doing something to go out of their way to be a dick to everyone, only for a bigger metalhead to either physically drag them out or get right up to them and put them in their place. Because believe it or not, us primitive savages with hearing damage actually do have some civility and etiquette, which leads me right into this next segment, mosh pit etiquette. Let's go over the unwritten rules of the pit. The first, biggest, and most important rule of all, the one that everyone should know already, go ahead and say it with me, class. If someone falls down, you pick them up. Everyone knows this rule, it's just kind of ingrained in the metalhead psyche by now. But every time I've seen someone fall down in a pit, or whenever I've fallen down in a pit, pretty much every single time, several people immediately stop to help you get back on your feet. Many times if it's a crowded show, the person falling won't even hit the ground, or may only be down for 1 second before being pulled back up on their feet. Because despite the chaos and madness of the pit, it very much has a team energy, where people walk a line between going completely apeshit while still looking out for each other. Again, if someone falls, pick them up. The next unwritten rule of the pit is don't force anyone in. In a mosh pit, the people involved have all decided willingly to go in and take the risk in order to have fun. But the people standing outside of the pit area are there for a reason. They don't want to get slammed into by a shirtless, sweaty, drunk, fat guy. Mosh pits are fun, but they are not for everyone, and it's not cool to force anyone to do it if they don't want to. Now, this can be kind of confusing because mosh pits can grow in size and can overtake more of the audience as the show goes. But that is more of a natural build-up led by the band that starts in the pit and expands the circle wider. That's totally fine and awesome, but what I mean is don't pull someone into the pit if they don't want to. Don't shove an unsuspecting person in. Don't prevent anyone from getting out of the pit. That's a big one. It always sucks when you're exhausted about to fall over and trying to catch your breath, and you go walking up to the side to get through the barrier, and some dude just shoves you back in. And if you're one of those people, fuck you. You don't know if that person's actually injured or not. If you're standing right on the border of the pit, it's really easy to lightly push people and just bounce them off you to keep the whirlwind going. But if you see someone who's struggling coming towards you, don't shove them back in, you dick. However, on the flip side of that rule is if you're standing right on the border of the mosh pit, don't get pissed off at people for bumping into you. Every show, there's some dumbass who gets way too mad at people bumping into them and starts causing problems, whether by shoving someone way too hard or worse. Yet they refuse to move when they're clearly standing where the pit will be. Don't get mad at the cars when you're standing in the street. The smaller the show, the more likely it is that the pit will mostly be people slamming directly into each other, which is fun. But the bigger the show gets, the more wider the pit grows, and that's when it tends to have this circular jogging motion. I've been in mosh pits at Hellfest where I was running at full speed like a death metal running of the bulls. If the show is above a local level, oftentimes this island will appear in the middle that we're gonna call the Eye of the Pit, where a handful of metalheads will stand and triumphantly headbang while the pit circles around them. This spot is awesome because you tend to have a great view of the band, get to experience up close how insane the show is without running, and you get a nice breeze from the whirlwind of metalheads running past. It's quite refreshing, actually. There's also another phenomenon that happens in the pit, one that I find highly entertaining, but to outsiders will seem absolutely insane, and that is the Wall of Death. If you're at a metal show and the crowd suddenly splits apart like the part of the Red Seas, then you are about to experience a wall of death. And if you're standing in the middle of that opening, then you are about to die. You know those battle scenes from the movies like Braveheart where the sides go charging directly into each other? That is a wall of death. They are awesome. The crowd splits down the middle, and at a particularly epic moment in the song, run at each other like the Ride of the Rohirrim. I have definitely gotten injured in these before, but goddamn, they are so much fun. These don't last the entire show. Usually it's just once during an especially hard-hitting moment, but man, the Wall of Death is awesome. I once got knocked out in a Wall of Death, and when I came to, I heard a friend of mine saying that's what the Wall of Death is for. It puts hair on your chest. Once you experience your first couple of pits, you'll quickly get familiar with them and know what to expect, but the only real way to learn is to jump in for yourself. And when you do, you're going to run into an interesting cast of characters. And with that said, let's go over the regular players of the pit. The mosh pit is the watering hole to many different breeds of metalheads, including the fat shirtless guy who's 3 times your strength and is covered in beer sweat, the short punk rock chick who gets thrown around like an indestructible ragdoll, yet keeps moshing the whole show, the shirtless six-pack bro with the backwards baseball hat that shoves people way too hard when they go near him, the thrash metal kids who've probably only discovered metal a few years ago and will proudly show off their bruises at school the next day, the Viking, the jester, the skinny goth girl that you're afraid to run into because she might break in half. The guy who stands against the pit on the side and rams into the oncoming current like a defiant rock. And the older headbanger who never lost their metal spirit and somehow still has energy past 8 p.m. Largely, though, you'll see people smiling, screaming from excitement, and having a damn good time. By now, any normal people with corporate jobs and short hair who listen to Taylor Swift and walked in on their boyfriends watching this video are probably still wondering why the hell anyone would want to do this when it's so savaged and barbaric, so uncivilized. Well, the answer to that is actually very simple. It's just fun. It's exhilarating. It gets you amped up, feeling the energy of everyone else and joining in, becoming such an interactive part of the show. Mosh pits are cathartic. If someone is going through a hard time, something tragic or shitty happened to them, or they're just pissed the fuck off. Maybe someone said their band shirt sucks outside and they gotta let that rage out. That's what the mosh pit is for. Maybe the new guy you're dating just told you that his favorite artist is Lizzo and you gotta let that rage out. The mosh pit. It's a massive release of energy, like a ritual, and can give someone immense feelings of euphoria, excitement, adrenaline, and bruising. And for someone going through a hard time, moshing can help them feel alive again, even for a bit. You feel such a connection to the music, and the songs become more impactful as you're giving them all of your energy. Yeah, they're dangerous and you can easily get hurt, but it's the same as boxing, or racing cars, or skydiving, or being Tom Cruise. It's dangerous, but that's what makes it so thrilling and so energizing. It's something every metalhead has to decide for themselves if they're up for the pit or not. I don't think anyone should be shamed for moshing or not for moshing. Yet at the same time, anyone who is in the pit or standing immediately near it accepts the risk on their own will. I've busted my nose in the mosh pit before. I broke my leg in a mosh pit, which is why I won't mosh anymore. These things can happen, I'm not going to deny it. But more times than not, when I moshed, I had a great fucking time and got exhausted, maybe a couple minor bumps and bruises, but most of the time I walked away smiling. If it makes you feel better, statistically speaking, going in a mosh pit is far safer than going to the Titanic. Just be aware of what it is and what you're getting into, and hopefully this video helped you get a better understanding for moshing and why it is so much fun. What's the craziest pit you've ever been in? Let me know here in the comments, that'd be fun to read. For more from me, check out my band Dark Insanity on Instagram. We're getting our first songs together and have our first shows coming up soon, and a big announcement coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. If you'd like to support this channel, then sign up to become a member to get some cool VIP perks. Memberships start as low as 99 cents a month, and each one really helps me get to my goal of buying Iceland. And shout out to my first Rockstar members, Scars of Oblivion from Spain. Go check out those guys. They have a kick-ass album out. Thank you guys for the support. Check out my live streams, Why It's Metal podcast, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. California time. Check out my other channel, Film Rebel, where I talk about films and entertainment if you're into that kind of thing. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.